Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Anissa, and if you're new around here, I'm also new around here. This channel is all about interior design and how you can create a home that really serves you. So the information that I'm going to present on here is going to be practical and things that you can also incorporate in your home regardless of your personal style. Today I was actually going to get on here and say stop following trends. Try to figure out what your personal design style is. But then when I thought about that a little bit more, I realized trends are just really the direction that we're all moving towards, and that direction becomes popularized, and that becomes called a trend. Those trends occur in art, they occur in music, they occur in fashion, and of course, they occur in interior design. And so it would be a little bit naive to say, don't follow trends. But at the same time, I feel like we need to really understand where those trends are coming from. It's kind of like a chicken and egg story because what are the trends influencing our home design styles, or are the trends just a reflection, a creative reflection of what we are actually wanting to have and incorporate into our homes? So if we look at it in that way, maybe there are things in those trends which we feel naturally inclined and attracted to and want to incorporate in our homes, not because they're trending, but because there's an element to them that we actually want to have. So I thought we could go through some pictures today of houses and spaces which really emulate and demonstrate the trends that are happening in 2023. And we can talk about why we might be attracted to them and how maybe you can incorporate them in your home without spending a lot of money or using resources that we don't really have, and choosing things about those trends which are more timeless so that they will last a lot longer. So get a cup of coffee and stick around and let's go through the first trend. Dark academia. A trend that draws on this idealized aesthetic of old school academia. So, interior spaces that reflect this style often heavily rely on books, and libraries are featured prominently. The design is also moody, so think dark colors, antiquities, and curious objects, dark wooden furniture in antique styles, velvet and leather furnishings, oil paintings, gilded mirrors and frames, highly saturated rooms, dark and moody colored rooms, and they're usually wrapped in color, so it extends from even the ceiling down into the furniture. And there is a lot of mood lighting. This is another trend just generally that has emerged to create a more cozy and dim lit environment. And this trend shares actually a lot of similarities with the whole goth subculture. It romanticizes the finding of beauty and poetry in dark themes, which makes a lot of sense given that it gained popularity during COVID when the world was a bit of a mess. So we were all probably just saying we're tired of bright artificial lights, including screens, bright light interiors when we're not actually feeling that way. And we miss the look and the idea of sitting in these softly lit rooms, reading, creating poetry, writing, painting. I mean, who doesn't want that? Also, these dimly lit sort of interiors, they make you feel more introspective. And maybe it's because we wanted to feel less superficial in our interactions, less superficial in our thinking, and that mood sort of creates that. So, does this mean that we need to run out and change all our kitchen cabinetry to look like it's in a library and put ladders up? Does it mean you should run out and buy the darkest paint you can get your hands on and paint all your walls and throw out all your furniture and replace it with furniture that matches the wall? No, let's not do that. Instead, let's take a step back and think about what we might be attracted to in this trend and take away the parts that align with our personal style and the desires that we have for our home. For me, for example, after the whole Marie Kondo cleanse we all went through in 2019, and I know some people are still going through that, I realized after I'd done that I actually really enjoyed having books around me, surrounding me, and this really resonated with me in this trend. I didn't want to hide my books away neatly into cupboards. I love having them lying around and even open. They're inviting, they bring a natural sense of exploration to the space and a desire to curl up on a couch and flick through a book or get engrossed in reading, every word of a novel, switching off from the outside world and our devices and just sort of partaking in those more simple pleasures that often lead again to introspective thought and inspiration. So I didn't need my room to be dark or my couch to be dark or to have dark wooden furniture to have that feeling. Um, so here are a few things that you can do. If you also find this trend interesting and you find that you are attracted to it without sort of having to completely overhaul your home, like one, you can expand your book collection, invest in your book collection, have them accessible, have them around the room. Two, you can change your curtain colors to a darker color to create a cozier, darker room without sort of painting your entire home. You can add some candle light or lamps to soften the lighting so you're not using just overhead lighting, especially in the evenings. You can buy a piece of antique cabinetry just to store books or whatever inside. If you love that piece of furniture, it can move around your home so it can serve different functions over time, depending on how you want your home to feel in the future. But a beautiful antique piece of cabinetry, is always going to be lasting. Then buying things doesn't always also make us feel what we are desiring. So maybe it's the idea of carving out time in the day just to sit and read or create. So that's more of a time management thing. And if you're in the position to buy a new couch and can paint all your walls to match, I'm not saying that not to do that. It's your house. If you really feel like that's what you want to do it. But it might be good to start with introducing smaller elements of this trend, like the books, maybe some paintings, things that aren't going to date and that are going to last for you throughout the years. And then that will give you a chance to sort of explore the feeling of that trend in your home a little bit more and see if that's what you're leaning more towards before you make any big investments. I hope you've enjoyed going through that trend with me. I tried to select as many photographs that emulated that trend well, and then also photographs of spaces which may not be classified as that style, but that have definitely, in my opinion, drawn from or inadvertently even used some of the elements of that style in that space. So I hope that sort of visual display was kind of helpful for you to try to sort of grasp or understand what the pure sort of trend is and then how it plays out, inspiring different spaces. And like I was saying about my own spaces, you can see like I've got this oil painting which I actually found in the garage of a home that I was clearing the garage out of. And then just, of course, the display of books, but I just don't have that dark part of the trend, I guess. And I'm in a rental, so sometimes when we're in, well, it depends on the home situation that you're in, you may like elements of a trend, but not be able to employ the more uh, difficult parts of that. So for example, what I'm trying to say is like you can't paint the whole room, or you might not be able to have particular types of furniture in there. This unit is something that's affixed to the wall, for example. So you can use the parts of the trend that are actually the true parts of it that are speaking to you, and then try to incorporate them in your home. Okay, let's take a deep dive into trend number 2. Biophillic
design. The biophilic design trend is one that Pinterest actually mentions in their top trends of 2023. That means lots of people are searching for it. It's a approach to building and architecture that seeks to connect people more closely to nature. So buildings that are designed in this way incorporate the natural environment into the design, and the natural landscape outside the home becomes a feature inside and is emphasized. The design incorporates plenty of natural lighting and ventilation, large scale windows, and it extends into thinking about reducing the impact on the environment through the design itself or through the materials that they use. In interior decor, we see greenery and plants in the interior of the home, and the use of large scale indoor plants that almost work to change the architecture of the space, and elements that tie the inside of the home with the surrounding landscape, or elements that completely blur the inside and outside. It also does include use of wallpaper with motifs of plants and greenery and trees, wall colors in more earthy tones presented in nature. So, again, greens, browns, earthy blues, tiles and finishes like marble. We've all seen a lot of green or blue, these very earth toned marbles and stones or other natural materials. Again, it's not surprising that the popularity of this trend has surged during and post COVID, because a lot of us were trying to enhance our well being basically by creating a productive, healthy, relaxing indoor environment with a visual link to nature, especially because a lot of us were bound to the indoors. But the thing that I find really interesting here is that this design trend spans across many personal design styles. So a lot of us are attracted to the elements of it regardless of the aesthetic. So, here are some things that we can do to incorporate biophilic design into our spaces without having to save up to buy a $6 million house overlooking the mountains, or without necessarily making a forest out of a room, or spending a ton of money on trendy plants that we struggle to keep alive, guilty as charged. I think the general pull for many of us here is enhancing aspects of our home that connect the indoors with the outdoors, and incorporating elements of nature to help us feel more connected. So, bring in plants into your home. Of course, this is the easiest and quickest way. I wouldn't really recommend bringing in fake plants. I think if you can't keep the plants alive, there are other ways aside from using fake plants to bring in that feeling. I feel like plastic plants don't really fulfill the desire or the outcome that we might be searching for. So, one tip is, instead of going for plants that are popularized by idyllic interiors, try to get a plant that's more specific for your region and environment, and that way you may have a better chance of them flourishing. If you have a black thumb, which I'm trying hard to train myself out of, you can always use larger stalks of greenery or branches, flowers, even pretty weeds. And they tend to look beautiful dry as well. I have made wall hangings from dry palms and even a stick before. The whole aesthetic here is about blurring indoors and outdoors. So you can enhance the connectivity of outside and inside. If you're lucky enough to have an outdoor space or an area adjacent to your home that opens up with doors, try to think of that space inside and out as one whole space when you're designing the space or thinking about what to put in there. So you can link the two areas by using typically outdoor elements inside and vice versa. Otherwise, it might be as simple as opening up a window for fresh air, opening up curtains and blinds for fresh air, getting semi-sheer curtains so that you can increase the amount of natural light in your home. You can pop a seat by a window or create a cozy reading nook in a corner of your home that has an outlook to the outdoors. Um, Pictures. So if you have no view of the outdoors, use artwork, landscapes, prints, other natural images or nature images. You can print a photo of your own that you might have of a plant or a view that you've taken, have it enlarged, turn it into a print for your wall, pop a chair next to that. Using furniture with natural shapes that can help bring in that organic feeling. Using earthy colors and natural colors in cushions, pillows, throws, bed covers, and being mindful about the materials that you choose. So try using materials like bamboo, cork, sustainable timber, stone, rattan. They can be implemented through furniture, home decor, kitchen worktops, floors. It can extend to buying used furnishings and home items, using low toxic materials, including paints and building materials. And it would be remiss of me not to mention that there is generally a growing concern about the natural environment, and I think that makes us lean into biophilic design even more. It's not a trend that's about to go anywhere, and it resonates with all of us because we, as humans, have an inner desire to connect with nature. There is this brilliant quote, which I don't remember exactly where I read it, but it's something like, "We can't protect something we don't love, and we can't love something we don't know." So making the time to be in nature is maybe one of the most fruitful things that we can really do.
I hope you enjoyed this video. I thought that I could fit in all the trends that I wanted to look at into one video. I think it's way too long. I either blab too much and I have too many pictures to show. So I will do a second video, so a part 2, continuing on. If you like this type of information, subscribe, and then you'll know, and press some ding thing. I don't know what that is, but you press it and then I think YouTube tells you that the new videos come out, so you'll know when part 2 comes out. If you're like me and you don't know what that ding thing is, don't worry, we will find each other again somewhere on here. Maybe I'll get recommended to you again because you stuck around this long in this video. Anyway, let me know in the comments